How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday. Noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it's Friday here on the show. It's Fun Friday. Phlegm Friday is what it actually is. And we got a lot to talk about here today. Filthy Tom is joining us. Lance is unavailable because he is at TNA Emergence tonight. It is a big weekend of action, as we're going to get to. There's a SmackDown, there's the Emergence show, there's Collision, there's TripleMania, Raw's on Monday. Big weekend next weekend as we've gotten Forbidden Door, and we've got Heat Wave, both on the same day. And it won't be the last time this happens this year. So we're going to talk about all of the upcoming events, as well as all of the news, including what's going on with the WWE and TNA, as reported in the Observer this week. Rumors of Lorenzo Fertitta potentially buying TNA. What all of this means, and more. We got more AAA events likely coming to the U.S. Dynamite ratings from this past Wednesday night. And also the Hulk Hogan at TMZ special, which did really well. Did a very, very good number. And also an update on Apollo Crews and you today. For sure, we're going to take text messages, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. F4WOnline@gmail.com is the email. You can find me on Threads, Instagram, and Cameo. $10 personalized cameos at F4WOnline. That's Threads, Instagram, and Cameo, F4W Online. And at Bryan Alvarez on X and Blue Sky. Maybe, because it's Fun Friday, we'll do phones. I'll decide. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Filthy Tom Lawler joining us here today. Tom, how you doing? Any updates?
Going under the knife on Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m.
Excellent. Been talking to people that have got this done?
Wait, was that a question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I've heard from quite a few people that have had hip replacements. Seems like, out of all these replacement injuries or injuries to your hip, spine, shoulder, knee, whatever, this is one of them that a lot of people say they've had great success with, and that it was a game changer, helped them out. So hopefully I fall into that boat as well. But yeah, Tuesday morning, I will be getting a full hip replacement on the left side.
Good luck, brother. We'll hear all about it on Wednesday on the show, right?
No.
Okay.
I may still be in the hospital. It's an overnight procedure. If I'm out in time, don't count on me doing the show.
I was not really counting on you doing the show.
Morphined up.
Lance is going to owe me a couple of shows because he was out today. But anyway, good luck, dude. Hopefully you don't need to do the back. Hopefully this hip solves the problems. That's what I hope for, Tom.
I'm going to have a champion's hip.
A champion's? You're an idiot. Okay. It's first reported in the Observer, WWE has an option to buy TNA for a specific length of time, as well as the right of first refusal if TNA finds a buyer elsewhere. The specifics are unknown in terms of a potential price or how long the option is good for. According to a WWE source, Meltzer learned the option is similar to what WWE had when they were contracted with several European indies like WXW, OTT, and Progress. That specific arrangement was for content for the then WWE network in exchange for European talent being allowed to work on those promotions events, in addition to the option to buy them. Rev Pro was offered the same deal, declined it. In January, WWE and TNA officially announced a multi-year partnership in which wrestlers will appear on each other's events. News broke this week that Impact may move to a current WWE broadcast partner and potentially oppose Dynamite. So, I can confirm that what has been rumored for a while is that TNA is going to end up on the CW, probably on Wednesdays. Does that come as a shock to anyone? No? Okay. It also says here that Fightful talked about rumors that former UFC co-owner Lorenzo Fertitta might have interest in buying TNA. Dave Meltzer said it's not a done deal. He's had a long-time friendship with Dana White. Dave noted any entity or person that buys TNA, quote, would do so with the idea of being friendly with WWE, not with the idea of being an enemy. And if they can get a media rights deal, the company goes from a money loser to a turnkey profitable company. But if they aren't friendly to WWE, they aren't getting the company. So Vinny's idea last night that Tony Khan could buy TNA, I guess he could outbid WWE, but I don't know. Now, we got to address a question here in the chat. Let's see if I can find it here. This news came out. Somebody said, it's about AEW. There's zero chance, Sports Fan 414 says, 1414. There's zero chance TNA becomes the number 2 pro wrestling company, right? I don't see how they can accomplish that. Well, here's the thing. I don't think it would happen imminently, but I certainly wouldn't say it's impossible, because let's look at this whole scenario here. This past Wednesday, NXT on the CW, by the way.
It would have been Tuesday.
NXT did 728,000 viewers and a .17 on the CW. 728 and .17, okay? Well, Dynamite on Wednesday did 690,000 and a .17. So Dynamite tied NXT in 18-49 and lost in total viewers. And this is not an unusual thing at this point. And NXT pretty much destroys Collision every single solitary week. So if you put TNA on the CW, I mean, they're immediately going to do significantly better than they're doing right now, because it is the CW. And I'm sure the counter argument would be, well, NXT has all the main roster WWE people, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, they do. And so would TNA. They're going to send main roster and NXT stars to TNA. They're going to do everything they can to boost that show, especially if it's Wednesdays on the CW. Now, AEW has a lot of advantages right now over TNA, not the least of which is they draw much better. You know, a good TNA pay-per-view, like, you know, they broke their record with 7,000, okay? Your average AEW pay-per-view does like 11,000. So they're way ahead in terms of how many people they're going to draw. As far as TV goes, I mean, you know, AEW is not exactly lighting it on fire in terms of selling tickets for TV. You know, they're well ahead in terms of media rights. I mean, if TNA gets a $10 million deal for the CW, they're still miles behind what AEW got for their latest deal.
I mean, TNA, we don't even get the ratings for TNA, right?
No, we don't.
Like, it's dropped out of the ratings.
Yeah. I mean, AEW is well ahead of TNA, and they would be for a while. But if TNA gets CW, if they get Wednesdays, if WWE bolsters them, if they start doing very well, a lot could change in not a lot of time. So
there's also been talk of TNA ending up on A&E network as well, which obviously wouldn't be as prevalent. It wouldn't be as good of a spot as being on CW. But that's also out there. Another thing that's interesting to me, obviously because of my background and my interests, right, is that TNA and Invicta FC are essentially the same company. They're owned by Anthem Sports. So if you're Lorenzo Fertitta, I don't know, is this an opportunity for you to also get into the MMA game a little bit and get Invicta FC, which has always had a great relationship with the UFC itself, you know, back on board together there. I mean, the Fertittas own multiple casinos in Las Vegas that they could use as venues and probably fill them, I would imagine, for TNA or Invicta. So I am very intrigued. I'm kind of hoping Lorenzo Fertitta buys it just so I could see what happens. But
Lorenzo Fertitta getting back in the game with TNA.
Yeah, maybe he's gonna buy it with like all the leftover Zions from the warehouse. 90 million cans worth of Zions. Who knows?
You remember in about 2004, I wrote Death of WCW, and, for about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years after, everyone was like, you got to write the Death of TNA. You got to write the Death of TNA. And this was like 2008, 9, 10. Well, here we are. It is 2025. It's 21 years after Death of WCW was published. The TNA's death is nowhere in sight. I mean, it's made a remarkable comeback. And you know what's the most amazing about this TNA turnaround? Is the real big turnaround began when they rebranded from Impact to TNA. People became nostalgic for TNA, and it has helped to turn their fortunes around. Yeah. There you go. Speaking of TNA, we got Emergence tonight. We got Trick Williams versus Moose for the TNA title. Leon Slater versus Cedric Alexander for the X title. Hardys versus the Rascals for the tag titles. Elegance Brand versus the Inspiration Fatal Influence and Lei Ying Lee and Zaya Brookside in a four-way. Steve Macklin against Jake Something, no countout, no DQ. Mike Santana, Sami Callihan. Ryan Nemeth versus Hometown Man. Mustafa Ali versus Matt Cardona. Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards versus AJ Francis and Rich Swann and more. We'll talk about that after the break. Observer Live. Man, lots to talk on the chat. Somebody wanted to know, is AEW closer to WWE or are they closer to TNA? And the answer is, at this exact moment, AEW is closer to being WWE than it is to being TNA. But if TNA does get the CW, AEW will be closer to being TNA than it will be to WWE. CW is a big deal. If they get CW, that's a big deal. And I wonder how things would go on Wednesdays. I presume that, that Dynamite would beat them on Wednesdays. But you never know. You never know. So anyway, tonight we got SmackDown. We'll hear from Drew McIntyre as he addresses his attack on Cody. Alexa Bliss faces Piper Niven. DIY versus the Street Profits. And Carmelo Hayes and The Miz versus Fraxium. That's the match. It's been announced officially. Their tag match. Miz in there with Fraxium. I can't wait for that one. Then we've got a lot of other shows this weekend. Collision has Ace Austin versus Ricochet. Yes, Ace Austin is now with AEW. Jet Speed versus Moxley and Yuta. Paragon versus Blake Christian and Lee Johnson.
You know what, Brian? I saw
Yes.
a lot of discourse about Kevin Knight being put in this Darce choke by John Moxley and whether it was a Darce or not. Did you see people talking about this?
I did. I thought he put him in an anaconda. There was no arm.
Well, there was no arm. Well,
Yeah.
An anaconda would have the arm, Brian. Well, I went straight to the source. I asked Kevin Knight. I said, "Hey, what's the deal? Did you get choked, or did you tap because it was a crank?" And he said, "Well, it was a little bit of both."
Is that what he said?
Yeah. And I said, "You know what? You'll learn the defense eventually." So
What's funny is I think it was supposed to actually be an anaconda because he put him in there and he did the roll thing, but it was like every announcer had called it a different thing, and I think what it was, everybody, is Moxie grabbed his neck and that was the finish. So if you want to call it something, you can.
it was a power guillotine choke, is what John Danaher would call it. And so, since he's so popular nowadays as being the top instructor in the BJJ world, we'll go with that.
Okay.
Power guillotine choke.
Got it. Statlander, Julia Hart, Anna Jay, and Penelope Ford. Juice Robinson versus the Bad Apple. Daniel Garcia, Lee Moriarty, Hechicero, Nigel McGuinness, with the winner getting a Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door. And Tony Storm and Anthony Bowens will appear. So we got a lot of stuff coming up.
The technical spectacle taking place tomorrow night. Unfortunately, it's head-to-head with what's going to be another spectacle, UFC.
I thought you were talking about TripleMania.
Oh, boy.
God.
Well, we've got another spectacle. It's never ending.
We got Hijo del
every week.
Vikingo, Dominic, Dragon Lee, and El Grande for the mega title in a 4-way. It should be pretty good. We got Finn Balor, JD, and Raquel versus Mr. Iguana, Nino Hamburguesa, and Lola Vice.
What?
Yeah.
Pourquoi?
We got a street fight with Los Garza versus Pagano and Psycho Clown.
Yes.
El Macias versus Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. for the Latin American title. Lady Flammer, Fabi Apache, Natalia 3-way for the Reina de Reinas title.
Can you say that?
We got the Copa Bardal Battle Royal, which is Spanish for Copa Complete Disaster, and Conan will be inducted into the AAA Hall of Fame by Ray. So that's the lineup for that. We're going to review that one on Sunday. Bryan and Vinny and Craig show.
Even more important than all that, Brian,
Yes.
it appears that WWE signed Microman.
And did they?
Is that true? I believe there's AAA Microman merchandise up on the shop.
Okay, if there's merchandise on the shop, that is an indication that that a person has signed. And
Well, I have been fooled by the internet in the past.
okay, so Flammer has a tee up, and Lady Maravilla. Anyway, for sure Flammer's up there, so she's got a shirt, and also La Hiedra is up there, so they've signed. They're slowly signing AAA people to WWE.
Here we go. WWE shop, men's black Microman AAA Superstar T-shirt, $34.99.
Men's size or kid size?
XL.
Wow.
Men's.
Golly.
It goes up to 5XL for
God.
Nino Hamburguesa.
Oh my God. That's not anyway. Well, there you go. That's the those are the big shows coming up this weekend. And we got a few other news notes, and we'll do some questions from you guys. WWE is planning to bring AAA back to the U.S. soon. WWE has plans to hold another event before the end of 2025. Who, what, when, where, why, we don't know. But there is plans for another one. They do officially own AAA as of the beginning of August. I think it was the beginning of August. Might have been July. Whenever it was. They own it now. So there you go. Did the Dynamite numbers. The Hulk Hogan documentary on TMZ did actually pretty freaking great.
Over 1 million viewers?
1 million viewers on Fox.
Wow.
0.13 and 18 to 49. So there you go. Very good numbers for that Hulk Hogan documentary. And then finally, Apollo Crews is on his way back. He tore his pec, underwent surgery. This was in February, and he should be back soon. So that's the update on him. All right, here's what we're doing, everybody. We're going to take text messages for the next few minutes, and we're going to open up the phone lines for Fun Friday during the next commercial break. So if you want to text us, that's all you want to do for now. 425-780-7566. F4WOnline@gmail.com is the email. And anything you want to ask myself and or Filthy Tom, and we'll get into it. This person, Brandon, says, I figure AEW beats TNA, except for the weeks with Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and The Undertaker and The Rock showing up in TNA. Bro, if they go head-to-head on Wednesdays, I mean, like, it's not like The Rock's going to be there every week, but they're going to do a lot of main roster and NXT stuff on those TNA shows, because they ain't trying to get a deal to put TNA on the CW for them to go in there and lose. The goal is to go in there and win. So you'll see a very packed TNA.
Hoping Lorenzo Fertitta brings back some of the old school guys.
Don Fry?
There, you know what I mean? Don Fry. Don Fry predated Lorenzo Fertitta. Brian, it would be like Forrest Griffin.
Well, he did, yeah.
We get some Forrest Griffin in there. Maybe Matt Hughes.
This person here says AEW and TNA are more alike than people want to admit, just on the flow of talent alone. TNA being number 2 is not a long shot. I would say at this point it's a mild long shot, but I wouldn't say it's like a long shot. I mean, best of luck and health, Tom, this person says. This person here says, we know WWE isn't getting AEW fans from counter-programming. Is WWE countering AEW in an effort to draw media attention away from AEW? Since WWE is always going to be given preference as the larger, well-established entity. Well, somebody made that comment that, if they run on the same day, if you do an Observer Live the following Monday, you're going to talk more about the WWE show. And the problem is, this actually has happened, and that didn't happen. The last time they had a big head-to-head weekend was All Out. They had All Out, and they had the TNA show, and they had a Saturday night's main event, which was not like a nothing show. It had Goldberg's retirement in a world title match and the Seth Rollins knee injury gimmick.
NXT, Great American Bash or something.
Oh, the Bash sucked. But the point is, I mean, the Saturday night's main event
was the next night.
Yep, but the Saturday night's main event was a big show, and Evolution was a really good show. And we still talked way more about AEW on Monday because it was, in fact, the biggest show, and it was the best of the shows. So I don't buy that one. They're literally doing it to, I'm sure they're trying to capture
It's like a multi-pronged attack.
Yeah.
They're trying to isolate one form of media. You know what I mean? They're going to take whatever they can get, whether it's people talking about it less, whether it's, people viewing it less, whatever. You try to hurt them on all fronts.
Person says, I saw a spoiler for last night's Collision taping. Totally sold on Forbidden Door now. Hey, one thing I'll say about AEW is whatever's happened in the last 6 months, morale has really turned around. I mean, there was a period for a while there that there was a lot of really miserable people in AEW. And in the last 6 months or so, that's really changed a lot. And people are a lot more positive. They're having fun. I mean, I had people just raving about last night's taping. And it wasn't even like there was anything, it was a Collision show. It was a Collision taping. But people still came out of it. They had a great time. They were excited. They were fired up. So that's good.
I think the people backstage are really united in their hatred for Mike Bailey.
Wow. You're a horrible person. You realize that? How could you say anything bad about Mike Bailey? Why don't you say something bad about Big E while you're at it?
Oh, come on.
Huh? Yeah, you can't. Nobody can. This person says, I don't think it's about hurting business, it's about hurting AW being in the conversation. With nothing going on for a WWE fan, they might hear about something from the AW show they should check out. This distracts that WWE fan until after the AW show isn't what people are talking about anymore. For the WWE fan on Twitter, they'll be much more into Brock and Lesnar in terms of clips than Hangman MJF. Well, we can talk about this more after the break and take calls. Observer Live. I got to give a quick speech, if you don't mind, Tom. Then we'll go to the phones. If you want to give us a call, by the way, phone number 618-762-3275. That's 618-762-3275. So, you ever heard the old saying, you learn something new every day? Well, every day you got to try and learn something new. And just because you learned something in the past doesn't mean that, that's how it's going to be forever. You might learn something today that everything that you learned in the past is out the window now. Because everything changes all the time, and today is different than any other day in the past. Okay? So, for example, somebody was like, we really need these max numbers, is Dynamite doing 1 million? Everyone's talking about this important million. Been talking about this for 2 years now, 3 years. The million. Million's never been anything except what geeks on the internet think is imaginary line, okay? Somebody mentioned, since the 90s, that's been the thing, 1 million. Bro, the 90s was 25 years ago, bro. What is important is not whether any company does 1 million. What TBS and TNT and the CW and wherever, what they want to see is what they paid for doing well. If Dynamite is number one on cable every week, it doesn't matter if it's doing 50,000 viewers. It's number one on cable. That means everyone else is doing under 50, okay? That's what's important today. I'll give you another example. I just did a speech like 3 weeks ago about this overrun and how everybody used to think like the overrun used to be important, blah, 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 but now virtually every single time the overrun goes down, well, for whatever reason, for like the last 3 straight shows, the overrun has gone up for AEW. Well, you know what? If this continues, then hey, do an overrun, okay? What's important is what's happening right now in real life, okay? Not what you think could happen or what used to happen or what you think is possible. It's what actually is happening right now. So this email or this text messages, it's about hurting AEW in the conversation with nothing going on for a WWE fan. They might hear about something from the AEW show they should check out. This distracts a WWE fan until the AEW show. It's not what people are talking about anymore. For the WWE fan on Twitter, there'll be many more Cena Brock clips than Hangman MJF. It'll be further from their eyes, etc., etc. This is all a great theory, okay? It's all a great theory. But what is important is not theory, but reality, okay? And so far, the reality is that none of this has hurt AEW. We already saw this with All Out Weekend. WWE threw everything at AEW that weekend. The Evolution show, the Saturday night's main event, Goldberg's retirement, Seth's worked injury, that NXT show. And at the end of the day, it didn't hurt AEW at all. We have zero evidence that it hurt, okay? So, going into the next show, we'll see what happens. We're going to see what happens this coming weekend when they've got their show and WWE is running counter-programming. We'll see what happens when they run All In and they put John Cena and Brock on there. Everything is great in theory, but what's important is what's actually happening. And so far, none of this has hurt AEW. And in fact, it's just like, you know, remember when AEW was having a rough time? And there were all these, you know, what's going on? Why is it not doing well? Well, there were a lot of people that decided the reason it's not doing well is because of the perception of AEW and Tony Khan. The perception of this company. Well, here we are. The last 6 months, they've kind of turned around, seen growth. Things are like better than they've been in a long time. And the perception is exactly the same. Because it wasn't the perception of AEW that was hurting AEW. Was it the booking? Was it the storytelling? Was it... I don't know. But it wasn't the perception. Because the perception is exactly the same as it's always been. And here we are. The show is doing better. So, I know why they're doing it. But I don't think it's working right now. If it ends up working, then when we have evidence it's working, then fine, it's working. But right now, it's doing nothing. It's making no difference whatsoever. They're doing it just because they can, and just to be irritating. That's why they're doing it. So anyway, you want to go to the phones? Where's your mic? You there?
Yeah.
God, you muted the whole time, apparently.
Good.
Yeah.
For you. You didn't hear what I was saying in between your horrible diatribe.
What did you say?
Oh,
what's wrong with my diatribe?
Don't worry about it.
No, let's hear it.
Let's move on to the phones.
You didn't have anything to say. My horrible diatribe. Why don't I mute myself and you can do a diatribe? With this caller here. You're on the air. Who is this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, y'all. It's Brandon here from Portsmouth, Virginia.
Yeah, Brandon.
Y'all doing well. Happy Fun Friday. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a fan who just enjoys wrestling. I enjoy both products. So, if anything, this counter-programming just makes it harder. I have a life outside of wrestling, but, you know, I still want to watch both shows. I got to sometimes spend a whole weekend watching all this wrestling, which is fun. But at the same time, counter-programming just kind of makes it harder in that sense. But whatever. That's what they want to do. That's their prerogative, I guess.
Tom, hold on, Brandon. Tom's got something to say.
Yeah, Brandon, I have a question for you. Now, say that TNA does end up on Wednesday nights opposing Dynamite. what do you think your viewing habits would be? You going to watch one of them live? Is it going to depend week to week? Are you going to always, tape the other one and catch up on it afterwards? What do you think would happen?
Well, I don't watch TNA regularly as it is. So, I would most likely just get the CW app and watch TNA like the next day when it shows up on the app. That way I don't have to really pay for anything extra. So that'd probably be what I would do.
Well,
if I watch TNA.
Yeah, that would still be a net positive for TNA, going from you not watching it to watching it on the CW app.
Dude, going to CW is a giant advantage for TNA. It's a big move up.
Sure.
I think a lot of people would try it out. All right, anything else, Brandon?
Well, the one thing I'll say before I hang up, the one thing I enjoyed all week this week was Braun Breaker on Monday Night Raw after Punk and LA Knight had their little promo, and Braun Breaker just comes out and yells at Punk. He yells it off mic, but you hear him yelling, saying, "You're 47 years old. What are you going to do?" And then he turns to LA Knight, "And you're 40. I'll kick your butt too." And then he says, "You guys are 100 years old combined." And then he just has so much of his uncle and his father, and it was just, I can't wait for Braun Breaker to be that top guy when it's his time.
He is quite great.
Thanks for taking my call, y'all.
Yep, thanks so much for the call. Very much appreciate that.
As someone in that age range, I did not appreciate Braun Breaker's humor.
Oh,
there.
This person here says, if TNA gets on CW on Wednesday, its first head-to-head show should be main evented with AJ Styles' final TNA match. I think that's very possible. Looks like people are trying to use the very world famous international web browser line, which is callinstudio.com/show/WOL. If you're out of the country and want to just use your browser, callinstudio.com/show/WOL, or you can call 618-762-3275, and we'll put you on the air. Or you can text us as well. In what world, this person says, or alternate reality, is a company that being treated as lesser than Raw or SmackDown expected to be competitive with AEW when even NXT failed to do it? Brother, it's the same thing. You're thinking about NXT from years ago, dude. NXT beat them this week. NXT beat Dynamite in viewership, and they tied in 18-49.
Okay,
and they almost always have more viewers. Yes?
It's without the max numbers. Let's throw that in there.
We don't know.
Well, yeah, but
numbers.
You're going to have people complain that you don't mention that.
Okay, you're right. We don't know the max numbers. That is correct. That is correct. But, yeah, the CW. CW really boosted NXT. It's a network. It's a network. So don't think it's not possible. Fun Friday, this person says. Thank you. All right. Let's go to, I believe it's Munash. Is that correct? South Africa? Let's see if we can get him on the air here. Yeah, Munash, are you on the air? Hello? Ah, he was.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, Bryan. Hey, Tom. How you doing?
What's up?
Awesome. Talk to you guys. Good. It's Nash. I used to be from Zimbabwe, but I've just been in South Africa for a little bit. Hope you guys are doing good. So my question for this awesome Fun Friday is, what would be the most pro wrestling way to announce a pope?
The most pro wrestling way to announce a pope?
Yeah.
I think it'd have to be like all of those weddings you see where they play John Cena's music and he dances his way in.
No, you're out of your mind, Bryan.
Really? No cash in?
A cash in for the pope?
No.
Yes, Tom.
No. Like, when they announce the pope, what they do is they send out the smoke signals, right? So I think you have to put whatever they send the smoke signals out from up atop a ladder, and all the different, the different papal,
the different cardinals,
whatever they are, the bishops, whoever these guys are, the people who are striving to be the pope, they have to climb that ladder rung by rung. Each step get closer and closer and closer to God himself until they can finally grab that smoke signal and set it off.
Wow. That was certainly a Fun Friday call if I ever heard one. He called from South Africa to ask that question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Munash. I appreciate it. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, it's Kevin from San Jose. How's it going, guys?
What's going on, my man?
Hey, thanks again for the trophy. I appreciate it. It's Fun Friday. I got a question since you guys have been talking about counter-programming with TNA and AEW and et cetera. You know, AEW originally targeted Wednesday nights to compete against NXT, and I felt like in their early days they made quite a few pot shots at WWE on TV. So do you think had they not gone to those measures in their early days, WWE wouldn't be putting in so much effort to counter-programming today?
Well, actually, the Wednesday was not their choice. They were going to go Tuesdays. In fact, they had trademarked Tuesday Night Dynamite, and when they got their television deal, they wanted them on Wednesdays. And you don't get a choice. You go where the network wants you to go. And so they didn't actually choose that head-to-head battle, but, you know, what's done is done. So I think that, dude, they could have run on Fridays. Actually, Friday was SmackDown. They could have run on Thursdays. They could have run on Saturdays. You know, as soon as they started to get a foothold, WWE was going to go after them one way or the other. I mean, it was just going to happen. It's what they've always done. There's nothing, like when they started getting good, when they got TBS and TNT, there was nothing that was going to stop WWE from going after them.
Once they had those national TV contracts, that fight is on.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the call. Congratulations. He finally got his trophy. After it bounced all over. It went here, there, up, down, and around, and then made it yesterday. And if you want to see a picture of the beautiful trophy that he won for being one of the co-winners of the prediction contest this year, you can go to my Twitter at Bryan Alvarez and see it in all its glory.
I was hoping after its long travel that it would find its way home up yours.
You're a horrible person. Back in a moment, Observer Live. So, Tom, what are you watching this weekend, brother?
Well, today I will watch the PFL. Tomorrow I will watch UFC with the big Dricus Duplessis DDP bang defending his title against Khamzat Chimaev. Huge main event. And I don't know what else. I'll watch probably 16 hours of Turkish oil wrestling.
What are you going to watch for the show Monday? Are you going to watch TripleMania?
Well, I'll watch SmackDown tonight like I do every week as the lead SmackDown reporter.
Excellent.
For the website. I don't know about TripleMania. We'll see.
Yeah. We got to watch it.
Good for you.
Pagano's on the show, dude.
Maybe I'll watch it when I'm laid up in the hospital next week.
All right, fine. Are you still doing Monday, or you got to do something?
Yeah. I should be good for Monday, but right. I mean, I already dedicated my life, my body, my mind, my spirit to this sport. Now you want me to spend 3 hours watching Pagano?
Yeah, actually,
dive
that
through
goes 3 hours
and fire.
If that Pagano match goes 3 hours, you absolutely have to watch it. I will command thee. All right. Final note here. This guy goes, I know I'm in the minority, but doesn't head-to-head hurt WWE too? I would normally watch Cena versus Brock, but with head-to-head, I'm going to skip it. Didn't see Goldberg's last match for the same reason. Yeah, it absolutely... Dude, it hurt WWE more than AEW. That All-In weekend, or All Out, or whatever. I get them all messed up. Whatever. Hey, we're going to wrap it up. I got a lot of stuff coming up this weekend, everybody. Had a big AEW Dynamite NXT Bryan and Vinny show last night. It's Fun Friday here today. Got shows coming up this weekend. It's going to be great. So check it out, WrestlingObserver.com. Check out the podcast, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. And Tom and I will be back next week with more fun and excitement. Talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.